All right, Racelogic World, we're live tonight with Mr. Matt Henderson. Matt, good to have you on tonight. I know you said you had the flu and not feeling well, so I appreciate you jumping on here with me for a little bit to kind of discuss 2023 class and kind of what guys can expect and that kind of stuff. So, kind of give me a little, if you want to give me a little background of yourself, and we'll talk about the class and what we're going to do. Then we can we'll go on and discuss the class and all the instructors and all, because I know we're going to a different part of the country, and a lot of guys probably don't know everything that how we do it and what we're doing. So I'll let you take the floor and you can go ahead and discuss everything for us.
Okay. I'm Matt Henderson. I've been racing for 20 years now, and just kind of done it the hard way for a long time, where didn't have a lot of help or guidance, and bought every racing school I could come up with, find. Went to the Dale McDowell driving school. That helped a bunch, but always been searching for knowledge. Never had anything like Racelogic when I was coming up through the ranks. So I've had a career where I've won, my share of races, and have studied and learned and tested and found stuff, and just trying to pass that along to the guys that need to shorten their learning curve. This is a brutal sport. It's so expensive to compete in, and you just don't have time and money to waste running bad. So we try to shorten that learning curve up in Racelogic.
Matt, give us a little background. I know you didn't race as much this year with a few things going on, but kind of give us some highlights of your career on some big wins. I know last several years you've had some huge wins. Kind of give the audience a little bit about your past.
Last year we won the Dillon Kennedy Memorial Race. That was a 10,000 win race. It was a big race, and then backed it up a couple of weeks later with a 20,000 win World Championship race. And I've won, a lot of special events in the South here. I swept King of Crates last year at North Alabama. Just I've been very fortunate to have won a lot of the bigger races. Even I started racing when I was 14 and won the track championship my first year. Won races my first year. It's just I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a good career. So
right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know you've drove for Chip a long time, and I know, you guys are going to have to kind of, part ways a little bit because of, I know he's got to have his surgery and he just couldn't dedicate the time he needed to his own race team. But give a little background on Chip. Kind of, I know, he's one of the other instructors and a big part of this class. So give a little background on him so guys will kind of know about CVR and Chip.
Man, when Chip was younger, he worked longer and harder than anybody. And when he had his own racing, he didn't have sponsors. He didn't have nothing. He had to work a 60, 70, 80-hour week just to have enough money to go racing. And he stayed at his dad's just to where he didn't have no bills, so he could go racing. And he learned the hard way. He screwed up a lot of stuff to find out what worked, and so he's been doing it for years. He's worked on everything from GRTs, Stingers to Rockets, Longhorns. He's worked on everything before there was a CVR. He was a very well-known crew chief in the business, and he's worked with guys like Dale McDowell and some big names throughout the years. And so a lot of people don't know that. They think CBR race cars, that's all he's ever done, but he's worked on everything. He's seen it all and done it all. In his younger days, he was a pretty good driver. In four cylinders, he won like 20-something races in 1 year, and then he won several late model races too. But he didn't have the budget to continue on. So, he started building his own race cars just because, that's something he'd always wanted to do, was build something that was his own. I got one of the first few cars he built in 2012. We set every track record around here in our class and won in it. And he's went through some struggling times, and now he's got a great piece that he's building, that they win everywhere they go. So Logan Robertson, won a bunch of those rush races where the territory we're headed into. That was a CBR, so they're great pieces, but he's done it all, and he gives you real raw information, and he will either tell you or won't. He will not lie to you. And you've seen in the past couple of years, he's an open book when it comes to Racelogic. Like, if you ask the question, you get the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing I appreciated about Chip being on board, because he's always tried to help the racer. I can talk a little too about Robbie Bilbrey. Talked to Robbie this week. RPI suspensions. Robbie, he don't like to tell this story, and we laugh about it between all of us. But Robbie's real job is he's an engineer for NASA. I mean, that's truly what he does. But he's got an unbelievable shock business. I think he told me they won about 300 to 400 races last year. Now that's all classes, but Robbie does a lot of R&D with Bill Stein, I believe. He's worked with Tim McCready. He's done a lot, and I'll promise you, and you'll agree, not anybody any smarter in the sport of late model racing than Robbie Bilbrey. And Robbie will be there with us. Great guy.
He's done a lot of R&D with Barry Wright with the Icon cars, and he's real in tune with the Longhorn bunch and the Rocket bunch. I mean, he's got shocks. Really, if they build it for dirt, he's got it, and he does asphalt stuff too. There's nobody smarter on shocks than Robbie. There's a lot of people that act like they want to be, but he's the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on to Ben Baker with AFCO. He's been an engineer. I think Ben told me, I'm probably going to tell his age here, but I think he said about 14 to 15 years. He's been, he's an engineer by trade, but he's been with AFCO. He's designed a lot of their brakes, a lot of their panels. He done a lot of stuff in their shock department.
In their shocks,
I've said this, and I've told you this, and I've told Ben this. Racelogic would not be where it's at today if it wasn't for Ben Baker. That's the first guy I call when I decide I want to do a class. Can you do it this weekend? Because he brings so much to the table. I mean, he can talk about a drag boat. He can talk about a 4-link. He can talk about a sprint car. Absolutely one of the brightest minds in all of dirt racing. That's why AFCO keeps him around. So he brings a lot to the table for what we're doing, for sure.
Some of the stuff he says, I'll take a chair and just listen, because I learn from, we put the greatest minds of our league, together in one room, and we learn from each other. It's a great deal, but being some of the stuff he comes up with, and he makes it so simple that I understand it in a different way. He's changed my mind. He came up with some braking issues that I was having that saved my season last year. We won a bunch of big races, and it was stuff that I learned at Racelogic. There's just situations like that. People don't understand that there's a lot of critical components we don't pay enough attention to. And, that's some of the stuff we cover in Racelogic is how to tune your car when you may think, man, I'm too free. And it's the brakes shearing the tires. There's just a lot of stuff we cover that'll fix a race program.
Sure. We'll move on next to Steve Hendron, and I don't think Steve needs any introduction, especially in the Northeast. We had Steve a couple of years ago, and I called him and said, "Hey, I want you to do this class," and he said, "What am I going to do?" And he doesn't realize how valuable he really is to the racing world. But I sat back. I've been through enough of these. I ought to be able to teach one of them myself. But sit back and listen to Steve about the crate motors, carburetors and plugs and what you do and don't do and oils and everything. He dynos car. I mean, he does everything. He's a complete guy. Nobody any better in the crate world. I know there's other crate engine builders that are good. Not down in none of them, but Steve Hendron is on top of his game. Complete open book guy too. he's almost worth the price of admission by itself when you really get down to the nuts and bolts.
I call him like, hey, I'm wanting to test this. Don't waste your time. I've had it on chassis dyno. He's saved me a lot of resources and testing just because he's an open book, and he's an open book year round. You come to Racelogic and you become a Hendron customer or whatever, you get a lot of bang for your buck there. I mean, they test constantly, have their own in-house chassis dyno. And I've wanted to change spacers and do this and that, check fuel. And he's just like, I've done it. Don't waste your time, And he goes over everything he's tested, what performs better. I mean, even, something as simple as having the wrong spark plugs in, that'll get you killed on the start. So just stuff like that. I mean, he does really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve's a big piece of this. And last but not least is Dave Hammond of Hammond Motorsports. Me and Dave was talking last night. I think Dave's been doing these about 6 years with me. I met Dave when he was a one-man show out of his little old shop in Iowa. And I just, first 10 minutes I talked to the guy, I knew his heart was into helping racers,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll tell you this day, and he's a lot better now. He wasn't a public speaker. If anybody knows Dave, he kind of tells you the way it is, whether you want to hear it or not. And I appreciate that, because you never have to worry about where you stand with a man. But his heart is in the right place. He loves to help racers. He's designed so many products. I mean, he's called me before, Matt. It's a funny story, but his caster camber gauge, the first time he ever even showed it to anybody is one of my classes a few years ago, something he designed. And he said, man, the first place I want to take it is a class we had down south. And I mean, he's called me on the way back from a class and, man, I just came up with a new part, and I think it's going to be really good. And it has. I mean, the guy's, he's, like I said, I met him when he probably had, 50 set of his plates out in the country. And I just knew he was a guy that I needed to keep around, and appreciate everything he's done for me, because I just say, Dave, this is where we're going. He said, I'll be there. And that's all he says. He don't ask for nothing. He wants to be there, and he really, really wants to help racers. And that means a lot. I mean, he's got a lot of great products. I know you guys have used them through the years. He's designing stuff all the time. I know he's got some new bird cages. And I mean, Lord, every time I turn around, he's got something new that he's come up. And he, a lot of people don't know this. You was talking about Chip. He spent some time in NASCAR. He worked for some NASCAR teams. He don't talk about that a lot, but he's got a pretty good extensive background. But he'll design something in his head and draw it out, and then take it to somebody and have them draw the plans, and then he builds it from there. I mean, he does things that in his mind that most people could never do. And I give him props, and he's a huge part of what we do. Last year, he ended up with kidney stones and couldn't make it, and made him sick. He called me about 10 times upset because he couldn't be there, but he'll be there this year. He just brings a lot to the table.
He had a rough year. He fell, got a concussion, been healing from that. Dave is as real as they come. And, there's not anybody more genuine than he is. And his background from NASCAR, he was a pretty solid wheelman too. This is a race seminar that is built by racers. Robbie Bilbrey was a driver. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But we've Steve Hendron, there's no telling how many wins he's got. He was a heck of a driver. So, we have trial by fire figured a lot of this stuff out, and last year, we had a season because we put the time into having that season. We tested more than we raced, and we raced a bunch. Had 17 wins, and all of them were special events. There was no cupcake schedule there. So, we went and we tried everything to figure out what was going to work. So, we try to give everybody the benefit of our knowledge. Logan was at the season finale race with that Rush series, and he called me and he said, man, my car is not good. We're just not good. Nothing I'm doing's working. What do we need to do? And we talked about what he was feeling, how the racetrack was. I think it was at Lernerville, if that sounds right. And we talked about what the racetrack was. I've never seen the place, never been there. And we talked about what we would change. And he drives from 12th and wins it, and wins the championship because of it, That's the kind of information you're going to get from Racelogic, the same information, So, I gave him some information, some stuff we learned last year, and he went and just kicked their hind ends, So we just want to help racers get better. Bar none. That's our goal. We're not trying to sell you a product. We're trying to help you have information to go compete the way you want to. I don't think any of us will try to sell you one thing while we're there. You may want stuff we have and buy it from us the next week, but we're not there to sell you something. We're there to help you get better.
Yeah, exactly. And, something that I haven't talked a lot about is Kate Dillon was just texting me then. And, Kate will be there. We will video the class live, and everybody who attends will get a free copy. They can go online and watch it as many times they want, rewind it. So it will be free for everybody who purchases a class. And then people that can't come or don't come or other parts of the country will be able to buy it after usually about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how busy she is. She'll upload that and it'll be ready. And that was a huge part. That's something, my first year I wanted to charge people. I thought, no, I ain't charging them. I mean, they already paid to get in here. There'll be things they'll forget or, might be drinking, like drinking water out of a fire hose. So you can always go back throughout the year and go to whatever section, front end or shocks or brakes, and rewatch a section that talked about all that. And that's huge. If you're out in the shop trying to figure out something, you can go back and watch it.
It's a massive resource because it's also categorized by the topic. So if we're going over front end geometry, maintenance, whatever it is, there's so much information, that you can go get yourself a refresher on what was discussed before going to your shop to work on it, or be working on the car and have your iPad, walking you through it as you're doing it. It's a huge, huge asset to have for your race team is to buy it if you don't attend. But if you do attend, to get that for free. A lot of the guys will message me and be like, "Hey, what did you say on this?" And I'll be like, "Well, I could tell you, but you need to get everybody's opinion. And to do that, you need to log into your Racelogic VIP account and go to that section of the video, And I help all of our students throughout the year. That they message you trying to get my info, but a lot of times that video can help them more than I can, because you get 5 of us that have an opinion on it. That's major.
Sure. And once again, I know we'll have a lot of nice giveaways. AVCO always does some big things. Dirt car lift is always a part of it. So I'm not exactly sure what he's going to do this year. And got a lot of really good things. Von Stone with pit lights is going to do some really nice giveaways. And I know you've got a few yourself that you're going to be on board this year.
Yeah, Boyd Bill always gives a really big gift certificate for Spring Smashers and such. Awesome design concepts, always helps us out with a gift certificate. And you can use it on racing apparel or wrap. They do all my wraps. You've got Matt Henderson Racing. I sell all the stuff. I've got a discount that I give to Racelogic customers. There's a ton. I don't want to give them all out, but the cost of the class is covered straight up off of what you get given back to you. AFCO, I've never seen a company do more than they do for us. Just the value of what you get by coming is unreal. And then if you valued the information, it's worth 50 times more than what we ask for admission. So, there's no telling where racers would be if that is in my age group. If we had these resources back in the day, it's unreal. It's just unreal what you have at your fingertips now.
Yeah. And somebody said this the other day, a couple of late model tires, you could buy this class, 2 late model tires.
Yeah.
And actually they probably a
little less than 2.
Yeah. A little less than 2. So, I know there's other expenses involved in getting there and what have you, but I've always tried to keep it as affordable as I can. I mean, that was been my goal from 20. I'll be 27 years this year. Because I've had people, man, you can get a lot more out of that. Well, maybe I could, but my goal from day one, 27 years ago, is I never had the money to sponsor anybody, but I could always try to get people to put information out to help them win races. And I wish I could find a tally of how many people's won races that come through the class, and there's probably thousands. I mean, I really don't know. And I'm not saying everybody that goes is going to go win their first race or heat race, but if you go and listen, I promise you'll be a better racer when you leave, or I'll give you your money back. I've always said that. If you don't learn something in there that's worth your while, you didn't listen.
We'll get Monty Skinner to come on. He's a real decorated racer, world champion. Came to the class. I thought that was so weird, man, because I look at him as a threat when I roll in the pit gate and see that 00 car there. Okay. So he tells me, he's like, I want to come to the class. And I'm like, man, that's weird, and because he's so freaking good. And he'll tell you how valuable that was to him and how much he got. So we really need to have him on also. But he is, there's no level you've reached in racing that you can't benefit from this. This is not your beginner class. This is not just for your experts. We walk you through the whole progression of racing, as simple as it gets all the way to as advanced as it gets. And our shot presentation is second to none. The one Bilbrey does and Ben helps with, you can't buy that information anywhere else. And I poke around and look at the information people are giving. It's so generic, it doesn't help people. We give real race night decisions away at our classes. We give the real information we are putting on our race cars to the students, and you don't get that anywhere but Racelogic. And I know that's something with you. I mean, you talk to me and you go, look, if you're going to come up with some just generic stuff, let's not do this deal. But if you're going to be real and help the racers get better, then I'm all for it, and that's what we've done every year. And if you look at this will be the third year that we've done one. We may do another one, but this is the third year we've done one. And I can't tell you how many times I get Facebook messages, man, I cannot believe how much better my car is, knowing what I was getting beat by, and that's the goal. We want to speed everybody up.
Right, exactly. And, I know Vicky with the Rush Series is really wanting us out there, and she's doing a lot to promote this deal. And, we're going to have it there in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Gatherings Banquet Event Center. That's where they do their the Rush banquet every year. Nice big facility. Yeah. Yep. We'll have it there. Friday night, we'll do a little meet and greet. I think around 6-7 o'clock there at facility. They got a bar and a grill and stuff. Everybody wants to hang out, kind of meet you guys. And then, Saturday morning we'll get started at 8 o'clock, and, we'll take there'll be a free lunch provided at 12 o'clock. And then we'll go to around 5-ish, depending on how far we get. If we need to go longer, we will. And then Sunday we'll start at 8 o'clock again. And then usually 1 or 2 o'clock, usually we try to wrap it up, or until everybody gets their questions answered. So, we'll have a big weekend right there in Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to it. I've never visited Pennsylvania, so I'm fixing to do it, and really looking forward to it. Matt, you got any last thing to add?
I know we spend as much time as people want after the seminar on Saturday and afterwards on Sunday. You even told me not to book my flights back until Monday morning, just because you didn't want me to have to rush out of there, so that costs you, for me and Chip to be there another night, that costs you money, but you want everybody to get the information that they came there to get. So, there may be people that have to leave early, and that's fine on Sunday, but we're there until every question's answered. So, I just feel like you can't get this kind of information anywhere else. And I'm so proud to be a part of it, because I know the service it is to the racers. And from a kid that was a struggling racer at one time that couldn't figure out how to get on the next level forever, I had Dwayne Hommel, which was a next level guy, help me and give me an olive branch, to help me get moving up. I know how much that help is worth. And, I wouldn't be where I was today if someone didn't help me. So I want people to let us help them.
Right. I agree. Well, I'm sure looking forward to it. Going out there, hopefully we don't have 2 foot of snow, but we'll be there anyway. I've had tornadoes at one class we went to.
I was there for that.
Yes. Yeah, that was truly a tornado. I think hit about 2 miles away. Yep. There was an airplane skid off the runway last year in North Carolina, like right after I landed. So we've done it all and made it, so we'll be there. Anybody got any questions, they can always Facebook message me or Matt Henderson. My phone number is 479-461-7561. Always available for a call or text with any questions you've got. I mean, I just had a guy call 2 minutes before we got online that's already paid. So anybody got any questions, about how to pay, where to pay? I want a spot, but I can't pay till later. I'll work with anybody. I want people there that want to be there. Looking forward to it, Matt. We'll jump back on here in another few weeks or so and see if anybody's got any questions. And if anybody does got any questions, you can also type them in right now about the class. We still got several people online, but anything you guys got, we'll try to cover it. If you got any questions about, what anything, just get a hold of one of us or whatever, and we'll be sure and get them answered before then. And Matt, I ain't gonna keep you a whole lot longer. I know you got the flu, didn't really need to be on here tonight, but we promised the viewers we'd be on.
I told you I would be, so I kept my word. But
right,
I didn't want to be, just feeling rough. But you've always been a man of your word with Racelogic, so I'm definitely not going to be the short stick on that. So.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Matt. We got a lot of good stuff there. I think we're going to do a great job out in Pennsylvania, especially the Rush Series, what we're going to cover a lot of. And, there's other cars out there under the Rush umbrella that I'm not saying we're going to cover what they do, but, man, if you're in any type of race car, you're going to get something out of these deals.
Look, we had people that was at our show or our seminar last year that's never had a late model and went out and won races because they were there learning stuff. So it doesn't matter that you're not in a crate late model. Super late models can benefit from this. Limited late models. Vicky has a heck of a modified class there that also would benefit. The fundamentals are the same. The how is a little different, but the fundamentals are the same, and the knowledge is the same. So you can learn from this. I don't care what you're doing, but we would love to have you.
Right. Well, Matt, appreciate you jumping on. We'll get off here, and anybody got any questions, message me, and we'll get back on here in the next few weeks or so.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.